Sir, is there no sound in this?
I didn't hear you, sir.
Is there no sound in this video?
Yes, sir. You are
No
not
sound.
able. You are not able to hear it.
Video sound.
Sir, there's
Yes.
no sound in it. No sound, sir.
Didn't hear anything.
You may
Yes,
play
sir.
it again. Play it again with the sound.
Just a minute.
You're not able to hear, sir.
Yes,
No
yes,
audio, I
I
suppose.
got the message. I'll do it. I'll do it. You don't have to worry. I will have to stop the screen sharing before I close down the video. I'll see what the problem is.
Thank you, sir.
The record for the time being. Over a period of time, you may look at those lists, start writing your objectives in or using those words. Initially, please use only these 17 mental processes. Only 17 mental processes. Now, how to write a lesson plan? As per the systems approach, I would break your lesson plan into only 3 parts: the input, the process, and the output. In the input, the first point is teaching points. What does teaching points mean? Does it mean writing the whole content? Absolutely not. Does it mean writing the main points of the content? No. It means writing the major concepts, the minor concepts, and the activities. 3 things. Study the whole content that you are going to teach. Study it thoroughly. Have tremendous depth of that content, and now break up the content. What are the important concepts? It may be only one concept, or it may be 2 concepts. But this concept may have certain, this is a major concept, it may have 1 or 2 minor concepts also. And what are the activities that you are going to do? But I have only one request to make. When you write this, please do not write it as questions, write it as statements. Most of my teachers, for example, they were teaching gravity. What is gravity? They were teaching noun. What is noun? I told them, please don't do that. Just write noun is the name. Noun is a naming word, more than enough. Gravity is the attraction of the earth for all objects. Right, this much is a statement. So when you write these 2 or 3 sentences which specify the concept that you are going to teach and also specify the minor concepts, and perhaps you may perform some activities or experiments, you can make a mention of that in 1 or 2 sentences. The details are not important, and this should not take more than 4 or 5 sentences or pages, lines of a lesson plan page. Once the teaching points have been mentioned, the content has been broken up. You see, most of our principals in the days when I became a teacher wanted us to write the whole content because they wanted us to be thorough in the content. They were not wrong. They wanted Professor Andu to be a good teacher. They wanted him to be very good at the content. So they made him read the content. They made him write the content. And because I had to write the content once again in the lesson plan register, I could consult the lesson plan register while teaching if I forgot something. But that's not required. The teaching points would mean main concepts 1 or 2, minor concepts maybe 2 or 3, so 5 sentences, and 1 sentence of the activities that you are going to do. Now come to the expected behavioral objectives. Whatever we have been talking during the last 1 year fits in here. 1 hour, I mean. Whatever we have been talking during the last 1 hour is mentioned here. What are your expected changes that you want to bring about in the behavior of the children? The trick is, my learners or the learners at the end of my lesson will be able to fit in the word, recall what gravity is. The learner at the end of my lesson will be able to recognize that gravity is the attraction of the earth. The learner at the end of my lesson will be able to differentiate between gravity, which is the attraction of earth, and gravitation, which is the attraction of all bodies towards one another. So you have fitted in only 3 words: recall, recognize, and discriminate. Now that is how you will be writing your object. Now please remember one thing. I hope all of you are alert. If you write your objectives only from the knowledge domain, then you are teaching the entire lesson only for knowledge. If your objectives are of the higher domains, from analysis, from synthesis, you are writing the objective, my children will be able to evaluate, they will be able to create a new design, well then possibly I am bound to look at the lesson very cautiously, very carefully, because I know my teacher is interested in teaching, the higher order thinking skills. Please do make a mention of the teaching aids. This you will make a mention in both your lessons. In your normal face-to-face lesson, you will mention the charts, not the usual blackboard and chalks are not written now. The charts, the biovisual, the apparatus, the lab. But in your online teaching, please write the platform that you are using. That you will be going on Zoom and Pidilite, you will be using the worksheets and the assessment sheets, you will be using a Kahoot program, or you have already formed teams of students and these teams will work in groups. If you are going for blended teaching, you will make a mention here that you will be having 6 stations and your children will have a lab rotation. They will have a rotation from one desk to another. They will have a rotation from one station to another. They will be driven by the teacher. This will be self-driven. So make a mention of that, whether it's a lesson which is online or offline. So the input part is complete. Now come to the process part. The process part is the actual teaching part. We call it the operational strategy. The word strategy comes from army. How are you going to operate and achieve these objectives that you have mentioned? The concept that you have mentioned, how are you going to pass it on to the children? Firstly, you must have a set introduction, the introduction of the lesson. You have to engage the children. Unless you prepare them for the lesson, they are not going to learn. So create an introduction. In Herbart's terms, we call it testing of the previous knowledge. You may ask them a few questions about the previous lesson. You may narrate an anecdote. You may perform an experiment which may lead to building up this whole lesson. And then you have your own presentation. Please remember that this presentation has always to be followed by practice. So do not have a very lengthy presentation of 30 or 40 minutes. Every 30 minutes presentation, depending upon the age of the children, needs to be broken up. In smaller classes, it should not be more than 5 or 6 minutes, with every presentation followed by practice, followed by review. In senior classes, it could be a presentation in one go of 10 minutes maximum. And in most important board classes where you feel you have very less time, you would like to devote more time on presenting your material, not more than 15 minutes. So that a lesson gets 2 stages of reviewing and practicing the information that you have done. And this is how you have to write it. I'll present this much information and then I will practice it. For practice, what kind of a device are you using? Are you reviewing it through a quiz? Are you reviewing it by asking a few questions? Are you reviewing it by asking the children to interpret it in their own words? Are you asking them to make a mind map or a concept map or a graphic organizer? That word needs to be written. Practice with the help of a graphic organizer. Practice with the help of a quiz. You may write 1 or 2 questions of the quiz as an example to illustrate as to what the quiz is. So you have introduced your lesson. You have made your presentation of 30 minutes broken into 10 minutes each. Every time the 10 minutes presentation has been followed by a practice or a review of the information given. Now close it up, summarize it. Closure is recapitulation of the entire what you taught in 30 minutes. Summarize it, highlight it, bring back the very points on the blackboard, or if you are on a Zoom, you can say, now my today's lesson is over. The main points that I discussed today were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In a Google Classroom, you can do it by asking them to list the 5 main points of what we learned today. In a Microsoft team, you could ask them to write this and discuss with the team among themselves as to what were the main points of the lesson. It is important that a consolidation happens, that a summarization happens of whatever has been learned. Then give them an assignment. The assignment could be a worksheet. The assignment could be going through the lesson once again. The assignment could be learning something by heart. The assignment could be solving certain sums or problems at home. So that finishes the presentation. We come to the output. The output is, what have the children really learned? Has there been a learning outcome? Now, if you remember that at the beginning in the input, we decided upon expected behavioral objectives, EBOs. What were the objectives with which we started our lesson? We used some teaching points and the expected behavioral objectives. We should have achieved, therefore, the learning outcome. This is a real test of whether teaching has been successful or not. Others may say that you delivered a wonderful lesson or you delivered not so good a lesson. But then if at the end of your lesson, you ask them a few questions, you give them a worksheet, You give them an assignment and they prove to you that whatever you taught them or whatever changes you wanted them to recall, they are able to recall. You wanted them to classify, they are able to classify. You wanted them to apply this information or this formula in the solution of a sum, they are able to apply it. If they have done that, real learning outcome has happened. Please remember that these three things must be connected. The teaching points, that's the content, must be connected with the objectives that you have framed, and ultimately it must be connected with the real learning outcomes. As we move further, I am giving you a model which many of you might have heard of, but you might not have talked much of it. My time at my disposal is not so much. I tender my apologies for rushing through it a little. I won't increase my, I mean, it's only a little increase of speed, maybe by 10 kilometers per hour. We call it the 5E lesson plan, and this 5E can be added in any format of a lesson plan. The 5 E's are engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. In the engage word, we have the elicit, which you always used to do in your Harbashan, eliciting information from the child about yesterday's lesson, about yesterday's experiences, about the work that he has done, about what he has studied so far. And in elaboration, we extend information. We do not only teach them what is written in the textbook, we give them further information to explain our point. Let me take them up one by one. When you engage the class, the purpose is to focus the attention of the students so that their thinking gets stimulated and you know what their prior knowledge is, what their previous knowledge is. You may demonstrate something, you may read something or ask them to read. You may be free to write something. You may analyze a graphic organizer. You may use the KWL approach, which we mean you may assess what is it that the children already know, what is it that they want to know, and what is it that they will learn. K is what they know already, W is what they want to know, and L is what they want to learn. This is known as the illicit part of the lesson, or this is known as the set induction part of the lesson. So engaging is not the actual delivery of the lesson, but it's a very important part of the lesson. It is preparing the children for the lesson. You can do it through brainstorming also. And during this activity, the students should be asking themselves some questions. Why did it happen? What do I know already about this topic? What have I found out about this topic? And these questions will start showing that he is now interested in the topic. From engage, let's take him to explore. The two activities move sometimes simultaneously. It's not one stops and the other starts, but the other is a much expanded activity than the first one. This is an activity which gives children the time to think. They do their own investigation. They have to make certain decisions. They have to test those decisions. They have to solve certain problems. They have to collect some information. They may start by investigating. They may read some resources which are authentic. They may visit certain sites. You may have given them some videos and audios which they may watch. And they may solve a problem that you have also given them, and they may construct a model. It's the stage of exploration. Out of curiosity, the child gets himself engaged in the activity. And it's not the teacher explaining everything. The teacher is allowing the child. He has engaged the child. He has raised certain doubts. Now the child gets engaged in solving those doubts. The child may solve them completely or may not. It is time for the teacher to explain now. This activity allows students to analyze their exploration, because whatever they have investigated, whatever decisions they have arrived at, whatever problems they have solved, now they will clarify them through a reflective activity. The reflective activity can happen with an interaction with the teacher, with an interaction with a peer. It can happen with an interaction with the group. The students will be able to analyze and explain things. Whatever ideas they present, they will always be ready with evidence to prove that their ideas are correct. Their questions will be very well structured. They'll be able to read and discuss. The teacher will keep on explaining things, and there will be a lot of thinking skill activities, like the teacher will ask them to compare things, classify things. If they did a mistake somewhere, why did they do it? We call it the error analysis. They will do this also. We started with engaging by creating those levels of curiosity. We started by asking them to explore and investigate on their own. Now we came in for a little explanation, but we will elaborate upon this explanation further. We'll not stop here. We'll expand our explanations and solidify students' thinking to help them or to enable them to arrive at a conclusion and to solidify their thinking. They should be able to get a life connect. It is important that everything that you teach has a meaning to the child. It's no use that he says to me tomorrow, Sikandar ne Porus se ki thi ladai, to main kya karu? It doesn't matter to him. He is not worried about it. How many battles of Panipat were fought? He says, Hamari locality mein to roz hi hoti. These facts are not correlated to his life unless there's a historical connect to it. So real world situations, real life situations will have to be brought in by the teacher through verbal examples into the class. This will help him to solve the problems, to arrive at decisions. It will help the children to do an experimental inquiry within their minds. And it will also build their thinking skills of comparing, classifying, and applying. We have done the 4 stages. The time has come to assessment. We call this evaluate. This is an activity which allows the teacher to assess whether the students are performing or understanding things correctly. Have they understood the concepts? Have they acquired the skills? Do they display a mastery over the processes and the application of the process? Any of the previous activities could be asked to be redone. They could develop a scoring rubric for every assessment. They could go in for a performance assessment check. They could prepare a product which would mean creativity, or they could make a record of a journal entry, or the teacher and the students together could record an entry in the portfolio of the students. So if you go in for this type of lesson planning, you can add up to the main lesson. And if I want to add it up to the main lesson, this evaluation can be further extended when you send them assignments, when you give them tasks which are original in nature. I would repeat this whole diagram. The first one is an attention focusing activity. In this activity, you ask them questions like, did you notice? Have you seen? The second one is a measuring and comparing questions are asked here. And I would focus once again in how many ways does it happen. The last one, the last but one, where we elaborate, it's more of an action problem solving activity. I would, if you permit me, I would take you to a format of a lesson plan as quickly as possible. I am ending this show first. Can I end this? I have to see that. How do I end it? I want you to go to a lesson plan format. Let me see if I can take you to a lesson plan format. I have a lesson plan format because that would show you how this can be combined. This is online lessons. These are the model lesson plans. This is the lesson plan format. Can you see this? Or should I increase this size? Sir, is it visible to all of you?
No, sir. No.
Arora ji, it's not visible.
No, sir. No, sir.
No,
Right,
sir.
sir. Right, sir. Sir, I'll share it once again. I'll share it, sir. I will be sending it to you. It doesn't matter, but if you could attend it. Can you see it now, sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You can see it. Now, this is a lesson plan template that I have given. I have used both the systems approach and the 5 E's. It's not important that you follow because Professor Andu gave it to you. You see, your principal has certain constraints within the school system. So the principal and some more senior teachers could sit down together, look at the problems that the teachers have, and then design this, customize it as per their own requirements. Now it starts with the name of the school, the class and subject, the title of the lesson and the name of the teacher. Then introduction, give a short description of your plan. Perhaps you could mention the teaching points here. A short description would mean the teaching points of the lesson plan. That is the concepts, the minor concepts and the activities. Only this much space I have given you. So you cannot be writing whole pages. And it's not necessary that the teacher has to write pages of the content. Then what are the materials that you are using, both face-to-face teaching or online? For example, you are going to use a PowerPoint presentation in your online teaching. You are going to use some pictures which you will show to the children, both face-to-face and online. You are going to give them some video links for further study. After you have finished your lesson, you might tell them, watch these videos, or you are using some audio links or video links. You may give them also some articles and you may want them to read, or any other relevant material. Please make a mention of those materials here. And then the total time that you will use will be divided into two parts, the module 1 and the module 2. Why do I say two modules? You will understand just now. In the first module, the topics will be covered, I said, at least if it is a 30-minute lesson or 35 minutes lesson, we'll have 15 minutes of presentation, 5 minutes of review and practice. Then next 15 minutes and final closure or summarization of the lesson. So in the first module, which part of the topic will be covered, how much time, what will be the goal or the objective of my lesson? Why do I teach it? Will it be to make them learn, remember, classify, discriminate? Will it be to hypothesize? Will it be to infer? Will it be to predict? You must make that mention. What are the teaching objectives in general? The learner will be able to do dash and dash out of those learning objectives that we gave you. What are the resources and the links that you are using in this? Now come to the the 5E part of it. In the engage activity, activity 1, please attach a separate sheet if needed, because this is a major activity of introducing the lesson. You may perform an experiment, you may narrate an anecdote, perhaps most of the important events of that anecdote will have to be done there. Or you may discuss the previous day's lesson. You may give them some sums from the previous lesson and ask them to do them and then tell them, now we have learned it, I am more than satisfied, we move to the second lesson. Now in this explain and explore activity, there will be 3 activities at least that you will ask the children to do. An activity for investigation, an activity for some peer work, an activity for some group discussion. An activity where they could move around. You attended, some of you, I think most of you attended the blended learning. If the classroom has to be broken up, has been broken up into say 4 stations, 1 station with the teacher, 2 stations on the computers, and the 4th station on a project. Now you will mention each one's activity, the activity that the children will be doing on the first station where they are in front of a computer system, on the second where they are in front of a computer system, and then on the problem solving or project method, what is the activity that they are doing. And then there can be 2 more activities to explain. Exploring activity could be 4, because in the blended learning we have 6 stations usually. We have the driver station, the teacher driven station, the self driven station, we have the lab rotation model, we have the rotation which is done individually within the classroom, or we provide for 7-8 activities. Predominantly, I have made this lesson plan based on an interaction between the teacher and the children. And here, the lecturing part has been decreased by adding an activity. The activity could be an explanation. The activity could be an elaboration. The activity could be engaging them in a problem solving ability. The activity could be giving them a dilemma and they have to think and discuss and arrive at a decision. The activity could be a worksheet that they have to complete in the class. Now in the evaluation, you must have already made a rubric of the test that you are going to give them at the end. Please bear this in mind. This each item of the test, what we call as a test item, whether objective or subjective, whether 1 mark or 3 mark, this should be based on the basic, what you call as the objective of the lesson. Every objective, recall, then you will ask him name and list. Classify, I am providing a list of 10 things. Please put them into 3 categories that you deem proper. For example, I name things like a submarine, a ship, an aeroplane, a helicopter, a train, and a metro. I name all these things. I have given a list of these to a class 2 child. And now I tell him, put them in different classes. He is wise enough. He will be putting them in roadways, airways, and waterways. The manners of transportation or transport. This is how one format is given to you. I'll try for another also. I'll see if I have another format also, but that is in itself in the presentation. I'll get that in the presentation itself. we had come to this stage. I think I have some time. I would like to spend that time on this video first.
Visible. It's not visible.
It will within 1 minute, sir. Are you able to see it now, sir?
No.
Not
So
yet,
what's
sir.
the
You have
big
to
difference
just
between
first
teaching face-to-face and teaching
stop
online?
sharing and start, sir.
So that's a problem. I don't know, this takes a lot of time. Why these problems are occurring?
सब्सक्रिप्शन वो खरीद लो सस्ता ही आता है वो भी सिस्टम तो चाहे 1 घंटा 2 घंटे कितना लंबा
Is it visible to you, sir?
Yes, sir. Now,
Can you hear it also? Just say.
yes, sir.
No, sir.
So what's the big difference between
Yes, sir.
teaching face-to-face
Yes, sir.
and
Yes, sir.
teaching online? The biggest difference has to do with time. In a face-to-face classroom, everything is synchronous. It's all happening at the same time. The teaching, the learning, it's going on, and you can see it, and the students can see that going on. With online learning experience, it's often asynchronous. What does that mean? It means that often you're doing some of your teaching, and the students go off and do a lot of their learning separately. For example, they're going off to do their assignments at a different time. And they may, in some cases, mostly just be listening to lecture notes that you're leaving. And they can listen to those anytime. And the big advantage is that they can listen to them over and over again. One of the major challenges facing students in an online teaching environment is the idea of time management. Students require a great deal more discipline to get their work done when they seem to have all the time in the world. Of course they don't. They should have expectations that they should be doing just as much homework, if not more. In an online environment, they're seeing the teacher for a certain amount of the day, but then they should be complementing that, doing their reading, practicing their conversations on social media, and completing any other assignments that they might have. This begins with you. You have to schedule it for them. You have to find ways in which you make them responsible for organizing their time so that they get everything done. It also requires that the teacher monitor everything that's being done by the students. They should be setting goals, and they should be meeting those goals and reporting on that in a regular fashion. Now, you were a student once, as was I, and you remember from being a student the whole idea of excuses. Oh, I couldn't do it. And the most famous one of all, the dog ate my homework. Now, students sometimes have excuses for not doing things, but in an online environment, they can't always wait. So it's important for students to be able to, first of all, reach out to you if they have a problem, but more importantly, get them into groups so that they can reach out to each other. They should always have partners and small groups that you can organize or ask them to organize through their social media contacts within the class. And maybe setting up those for them is a little bit easier. You can say, you need to be partners with these people. That can help because they can reach out to those other students when they don't understand an assignment, or if they don't understand a particular type of technology or how to use something, such as making a movie. Now, this is really important because something else that you can do is try to identify students within your class who are experts in particular technologies, getting online, doing things with social media, doing things with making videos. All of those things can be really helpful, and it's very easy for one student to ask another student, often easier than asking the teacher. In terms of being accessible to the students, it's important that you set office hours, times when they can contact you, or if not that, maybe times at which you promise to turn around any questions that they have. So if you say to them, say, anything you send me, I will answer within 12 hours or 24 hours, then the student knows that you are going to respond. You can also follow that up by saying, well, if you haven't heard from me within 24 hours, please email me again, because maybe it didn't go through.
I move again to 3 slides only. When you are making a lesson plan for online teaching, which is preferably a blended lesson plan, please remember some of these things. The first thing is that in your lesson, give it a title. What is this lesson about? How much time will it take? Who are the children or which class they are? Number two, create a list of the learning objectives that the student should master at the end of the lesson. The learning objectives that you will test and they will be able to achieve. Number three, please describe those computer-based components. It may be a video, it may be a conference, it may be a team meeting, whatever it is, whichever is computer-based, they should be included in this because they are a part of the instructional media. Describe the face-to-face component also, because when you are doing hybrid teaching, today the class is online, tomorrow the class might be in front of you. What is it that you will be doing face-to-face with them and what will they be learning? If you want to blend this lesson truly, both the computer-based and face-to-face sections are important. They are both a part of the instructional content, and the instructional content is not complete unless you have mentioned what are the computer-based elements and what are the face-to-face elements. And last of all, the computer-based elements and the face-to-face components of a lesson must be combined in a sequential order. They must not look helter-skelter. They must come in a proper way, one supplementing the other. If immediately a face-to-face meeting is followed by a video or a video is followed by a discussion, well, then the sequence looks proper. Now here is another lesson plan that I would give you. It's a blended lesson plan. The lesson is of a Spanish teacher who was teaching the children words like dog and cat in Spanish language. You'll say, why did he want to teach them? Because he was teaching them Spanish or French or German. Now, what did he do? His learning objective was that by the end of my lesson, my children will be able to recognize these words and appropriately use these Spanish words for the dog and the cat. Now, he broke this lesson plan into two parts. On the left-hand side, he wrote the computer-based components, and on the right-hand side, he wrote face-to-face components. What were the computer-based components? Students will watch a captioned video involving a dog and a cat arguing in Spanish. Well, that's a cartoon movie he had prepared. And students will later rewatch the video in English also. So first the dog and the cat will fight and argue with each other in Spanish, and then a translation of it in English by the same two characters. Now, what will be the in-person components? Students will collaborate. They will interpret the video. They will summarize the story of the dog and the cat. Then the teacher will go along with the students, help them, discuss with them, teach them the unfamiliar vocabulary words which are used in the video while giving it a second playthrough. And then the students will work together. They will create a story of their own in Spanish about a dog and a cat. And the students will not only write the story, but they will enact the story. Two of them in pairs, one becoming a dog, the other becoming a cat. What will be the instructional sequence? So on the one hand, he wrote the computer-based components. On the other hand, we wrote the in-service components. What is the sequence? Watch the video in Spanish as a class. Collaborate and translate the video. Collaborate is combine all your efforts together and translate the whole video into English. Then rewatch the video now in English and find out which vocabulary words you were not able to correctly do. Then students will pair up and write their own stories, and ultimately in pairs they will enact the story. The most important thing that I wanted to tell you is not the first two lines, is here the computer-based component on the left-hand side, the in-person component on the right-hand side, and the instructional sequence is important. This is one way of doing it. As time is running short, I will have to go to this. This is another lesson.
Hi, my name is Deanna Williamson, and my blended learning lesson plan is on planting seeds. The duration of this lesson will be 2 30-minute class periods. Didn't want to make it too extremely long because of the age group of the students that I have. My driving question: what happens when seeds are planted in different environments? In this lesson, I have 6 different stations. In station number 1, the students will explore different types of seeds. The learning outcomes: the students will be able to sort seeds according to size and shape. So The types of seeds they will have will be, for example, flax seeds, sunflower seeds, wildflower seeds, and pumpkin seeds. So they'll be able to see the different sizes and feel the textures and explore those seeds. And they'll also be required to be able to sort those seeds. The differentiation strategy, students can explore at their own pace. They are able to return to the station at any time, and I myself, the teacher, will provide whatever support. So if they have any questions or they need any kind of guidance, I'll be there to support them however they need it. I created a handout as a resource with images of seeds. Here is the link to the Google Doc. And also on this handout, I wrote the letters, the words of the actual seeds, so that the children with emerging writing skills will be able to practice writing those words or those letters if they desire to do so. In station number 2, the students will watch a video on how seeds grow. The students will be able to answer questions about how seeds grow, so they'll be able to answer questions about what they saw in the video. The students can return to the station at any time. They can rewatch the video as needed, and the teacher will support students with scaffolding and asking open-ended questions just to kind of get them to think a little bit deeper. The link to the YouTube video is here, so it's here to click on so that they'll be able to watch it. At station number 3, the students will actually plant seeds. They will be able to use their fine and gross motor skills to plant seeds. So with the fine motor skills, they'll be able to pick up the seeds. With the gross motor skills, they'll be able to manipulate and use planting materials such as rakes, shovels, watering cans, of course, the smaller ones, so that they'll be able to manipulate it and it won't be too big. The students are able to explore the soil and water and planting material at their own pace, and the teacher will provide guidance and support. I included a handout with pictures demonstrating the step-by-step process of planting seeds simply because the students are not able to read. So I thought it would be a good idea to create a pictorial directional for them to be able to use. In station number 4, the students will watch an ed puzzle that I created. The students will be able to maintain attention and focus, ask and answer questions about the video. The ed puzzle allows the children to proceed at their own pace. They can return to the station at any time to watch the video if they need to again. And the teacher will provide support. As a resource, I created the link to the ed puzzle, which is kind of a short video. Didn't want to make it too extremely long because of their attention span. Wanted them to be able to maintain their attention and focus. At station number 5, they will label parts of a flower. The students will be able to use their senses to construct knowledge about the world around them. The students are able to return to the station at any time. They can work at their own pace, and as resources, I will include different color paper so that they'll be able to choose whatever colors they want to make. Hi, my name is Deanna Wood.
I'm sorry, I had to cut it a little short because it was going long. In this lesson, you saw that station number 6 had been left free because the teacher wanted that there should be some face-to-face sessions also along with it. That's all. We have overshot the time by about 4 to 5 minutes. In case there are any questions, I would love to answer them.
You can stop recording, sir.
I have done that, sir.
I have a question.
One second.